Hey, good evening, Internet, and welcome back to Kenter at Your Own Risk. This is going to be episode 31, where Kent and Chris are going to talk about episode 5 of season 1 of House of the Dragon, and the episode is titled...
We Light the Way.
Thank you. We Light the Way. I'm like, shit, where'd the title go?
I don't know, you opened off like you were like a soft jazz radio DJ. Like, hey there, hip cats, we're back.
So, sorry for being late on episode 4, so we're going to do our best to be early for episode 5, comparatively to how we've been putting them up. Kent's going to run with this one again because he's got the notes and I don't, but I really enjoyed this episode. I liked it a lot. Like you were saying that episode 4 felt like Game of Thrones. Like this one felt like vintage Game of Thrones to me.
Oh yeah. This one upped the game. I mean, I didn't say where episode 5 is in my pantheon of rankings, but yeah, this was awesome in a lot of ways. So, and I'm going to apologize in advance because once again we're using my notes, which means that, they're easily discredited. But with that out of the way, hopefully I got all the names right. I do try, but I also was running late for video game night, so I don't know, the end could be a little sloppy.
Well, the beginning is pretty easy to go over. We have somebody that we've never met before riding a horse around what appears to be, mountainous highlands, which I'm going to assume is the Vale, and we later find out is the Vale.
What was it? Is obvious to you that it was the Vale? Because I'm like, well, this is the Vale, but who the hell? Like, I didn't know who it was. I just knew it was the Vale. Oddly enough,
I thought it was the Vale, but again, I wasn't sure who it was. Especially because we haven't really been giving it too much, like, insight into what's going on over there. Especially when, the woman runs into her cousin and blows him off, basically.
We didn't know who he was either yet,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. We never met either of them. And then she keeps riding, and she's coming to the castle, the Eyrie, and we see there's somebody cloaked and hooded, and she's like, hey, what's going on, douchebag husband of mine? And it turns out to be Daemon. So
I mean, you knew it was Daemon, though, right? Like, instantly. So this is Daemon's wife. What was Rhea?
Yes, talking major shit to him.
Which I actually wrote, she talks shit.
Yeah. So obviously it was a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah, because they never even consummated the marriage according to her.
And he ends up spooking her horse, which tosses her, lands on top of her, and apparently if she's not paralyzed, she's at least stunned enough that she can't move. And even on top of that, she doesn't stop talking shit. So
calls him a craven. My goodness.
Daemon walks over, picks up a rock, and then we get a cutaway where something else is getting smashed. I'm like, damn, that's a way to start an episode in Game of Thrones.
It was one of those things where I was like, is this going to be one of those things because we didn't see her die? Is she really dead? I'm guessing that she's just dead because they all but confirmed it, right? Like,
yeah.
This isn't one of those scenarios where... Okay. Now, here was the confusing thing. Up to this point, the only thing we really knew about Rhea was Daemon complaining about her and calling her the bronze bitch. And when I saw her, I didn't think, oh, she's exceptionally bronze. Like, she appeared much lighter skin tone than... I wouldn't have called her a bronze bitch. That was a little misleading, wouldn't you say? Or, I don't know. That was where I was confused.
Because she's not like the pale blonde Targaryen.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just kind of thinking of like Sand Snake Dornish.
Yeah, that would have made more sense, but
But then she wouldn't have been from the Vale, more than likely, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved the rock that he picked up. It was very pointy, and yeah, it was a great way to start off the episode. It really was. Kind of wish we would have had more scenes with her, though, because she talked a good game.
Oh yeah,
but
she was like the teenage version of little girl Mormont.
Oh man, yeah. Gosh, she was awesome. Here was the biggest misstep. It wasn't the trash talking. It was when she knew that there was going to be a fight. She didn't go for anything other than a bow, and I'm like, lady, don't you already know, like, if that's what you're going for, you're done, right?
Yeah, when it's that close.
It seemed like she should have had a knife or something. I don't know.
Yeah, she tried to bring a gun to a knife fight.
Yeah. So, good start, though. Beyond that, next thing, we're on a big boat, and Viserys is very... Well, I thought he was seasick, but now I don't know if he was seasick or just sick, because throughout the rest of the thing, we see him getting progressively sicker.
I'm thinking it was seasick.
Was it misleading?
Well, yeah, but I don't think it necessarily needed to be something separate. I think it was initially seasickness, and then we find out as it goes along that it's just sickness in general.
He is down with the sickness. Ooh,
Damn you.
And we found out that Lionel, lo and behold, is the hand because they held the shot on his pin for like 5 seconds.
Yep. Which, like we mentioned last podcast, I don't think once you take Otto out of there, I don't think there was any other choice for who would have been the hand.
No, because it couldn't have been Corlys and it couldn't have been Mellos. And I don't remember who else is on the thing.
Lyman Beesbury, but I have no idea what the hell he does.
We'll find out in episode 8. After that, Alicent sees Otto. Yes. And this is the only Otto scene of the episode. It is pouring out. He is pissed at her for taking Rhaenyra's side. Something about being so pushy about Aegon being the heir, and he tells her that if Rhaenyra becomes queen, she will have to kill Alicent's kids. And he's pretty positive of this.
He's basically like, listen, the men in the realm are going to just buy a queen when there's a male heir. So no matter what, there's going to be war. And Rhaenyra's smart enough to know this. So in order for her to consolidate her position, she's going to have to murder all of your children once Viserys is dead. So I wasn't doing what I was doing to usurp Rhaenyra. I was doing what I was doing to save my grandkids.
And honestly, that scene made me feel so much better about episode 4's blog when I was like, I don't know if Otto, like, yes, he was still a bad guy, but he was a very smart guy, and he was doing some of the things the right way.
Yeah.
You know, whether we liked it or not, he was doing it the right thing for his family.
He's like a less evil version of Tywin.
Correct. And I never had single complaint about Tywin.
At least so far.
So far, yes. Yeah. Great scene. Like, back-to-back really good, strong scenes. And I think I'll probably be saying that quite a bit. Like, the scenes are very strong in this episode.
This was a well-written episode.
Yes. Whoever wrote the previous one, they probably had nothing to do with this one. Because, yeah, the rating was much better. Viserys, still sick in the carriage. And we meet Laenor. Well, we get to see Laenor and his friend Joffrey something Loudmouth or Lawnmouth or something like that.
Yeah. I don't remember. Did Laenor actually talk in episode 3 at all? Or was it just Corlys and his brother?
I I think Laenor said like one whole sentence. It wasn't much.
Yeah.
So
this is really our first chance to get to know him.
Right, and immediately you get a vibe.
I mean, I don't think they even were trying to hide it. I think they're just basically...
No.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just like, listen, these guys are homosexual, which is really a big theme of the whole episode, quite frankly. Love and, the fact that he's homosexual. And... then Corlys, he's not out there to receive the king.
Yeah, that was... I was like, ooh, where are we going with this shit?
But then out comes an adult Lady Lena. And her hair game's on point. Loving it. That... I guess I'm going to... I'm not going to get sick of saying it, okay? I'm just not going to.
So if we had to judge by hairstyles, House Valerian would be your favorite for House of the Dragon, huh?
Oh,
Season 1?
Gosh, yes. Although, I gotta say, Daemon getting his haircut did help them, and I really liked how Rhaenyra has her hair later on in the episode, but still, no, House Valerian's hair game is way more on point than anybody else. Not even close. Corlys was at the... I don't know, I missed it. I replayed it like twice. I think the Hall of the Nine?
Yes.
Okay. I think I originally wrote House of the Nine, and that was a horror movie.
I bet it was.
It was something akin to, say, Saw 2, Cube, random strangers in a place have to figure this things out type thing.
Gotcha.
And I do believe there's like 2 people that you would actually know in it. Anyways, Viserys is just like, I'm sick. Can we just get on with this? Cause
I love he's just like, fuck it. They're like, wait, you're going to insult the king by not showing it? He's like, fuck it, let's just go on with it.
Yeah, his patience was not there, and of course it's not going to be there when you don't feel good. But he was just very, I don't know, he was on point. He was very funny and whatnot. I'm sorry, I had to look up House of Nine, and I'm just telling you right now, Dennis Hopper's in it.
Okay.
And, I think that's the only person that's remotely notable. But Dennis Hopper, he's awesome. So there you go. Anybody that's interested. All right. Onward. And, all right. So Alicent, she's by our favorite, our tree, because I think they're going to get as much use out of that tree this whole series, right? Like, they like that tree.
I'm guessing that if you're going to show as many dragons as they have in season 1, that they're like, okay, we got to cut back on locations. So anything we got that we can continue to use over and over and over again. There
right.
You go.
And we have this one cool tree, so let's just use it. And along comes a guy that is secretly becoming a top 3 character.
Oh, I was gonna say we got some characters this episode that we had met before, but we really hadn't really seen too much, and so I like where they were going with it.
Yeah, we get Laris. I think is it Laris, right?
Laris. Larry.
He's the guy that had the boot, the bum foot that we saw in episode 3 or 2, 3, right?
Yes, he's Lionel's younger son.
Yeah. So he talks to Alicent. And this scene's so good. He's cryptic, talking about his father.
Dude, he's Littlefinger wrapped up with like half a Tyrion.
Yeah, dude, I adored this whole scene. Like, he was very manipulative. He's like, hey, you want me to be an ally of yours, Alicent? But she's like, nah, I'm the queen. I got as many allies as I want, which he knows isn't true. And he's just like, sure, like Rhaenyra? Ha! And he's like, if, he asks, can Rhaenyra even be relied upon? She's not feeling too good because, the Grand Maester, he brought her some tea. And so, that means she can't be feeling good, right?
Yeah, I hope she feels better. Let her know I'm worried about her.
I loved this scene. I just loved how he, like, she played it good too, but he was just such a sneaky, conniving bastard here. I don't know. He amused me. So he jumped up to my number 3 character.
Yeah, all right, so I find it interesting is that a lot of Game of Thrones has always been about family. And we lost out on a lot of, like, the brother thing in the middle seasons because, like, all the brothers were separated. But we had Jaime and Tyrion and then Sandor and Gregor. And all I'm thinking of is, like, now we've got we've got Daemon and Viserys already. But now we've got, Larry's that we're finally getting to know. And even though we don't really get too much of Harwin, we get a little bit more in this episode too. So I'm wondering if that's going to be another, like, maybe more along the lines of like a Hound in the Mountain kind of thing.
Well, to go along with that, Kent has a theory. Did Sir Harwin get the nickname Breakbones not from dueling or tournament, but because he broke Larys's foot when they were younger?
I don't know, but like I would find it doesn't seem to be as, like, maybe decadent a court in some ways as, like, Robert's King's Landing was hundreds of years later. Like, I don't know if people would be celebrating him as a knight, in tournaments and stuff, if he, had done that to his brother. Like,
so you're just going to shit all over my theory?
Even think about, like, Gregor and Sandor. Like people were enthused about Gregor, as a fighter in the tournaments, but like nobody wanted him around because he was just a fucking sociopath. Outside of that,
this is true.
He was basically just Tywin's muscle.
Yeah, you're right. But wow, so 2 out of my 3 favorite characters. Well, technically all 3 are brothers, but 2 of them are actual related, and the other one's a brother of the king. So, all about the brothers so far in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Bros before hoes.
They all intrigue me. Yeah, of course. Well, because we've only met a couple of hoes. And actually, of all the hoes that I've met, my Sarah was my favorite, but I'm leaning towards somebody else, which we'll talk about later. And you already know where that's going. So, after that, we get Viserys. Oh my god, I abbreviated things so badly, so bear with me here. Viserys enters the chambers, and Rhaenyra and Laena are left behind abruptly. Like, they're just not welcome inside those chambers.
Yeah.
But, hey, on the bright side, let's go for breakfast, which I thought was a great line. I then wrote, Laena's hair game is on point.
Again.
Yeah. Corlys greets Viserys and Lionel. Viserys has a terrible cough, which, I'm not going to repeat, but I mean, pretty much every scene that he's in this episode, he has that cough, I think.
Yes.
And in comes, is it Rhaenys? I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Rhaenys?
Corlys's wife.
Yeah.
Rhaenys. Okay.
Rhaenys, I think, yeah.
Okay. She grabs him by the hand, lovingly or greeting, and he winces in pain because of his finger issue.
Yeah, I think I got the impression that, like, she realized that, like, 2 of the fingers on the glove were empty.
Right. Yeah. Like, so is his whole hand slowly just getting eaten away?
I think he said 2 fingers. What the hell is it called?
Amputated?
Thank you. Yes, amputated by now, and I think his whole body's basically slowly rotting.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're going to turn him into some evil monster by the end of this. That's my hope. let's see. Corlys congratulates Lionel. I think it was a sincere congratulatory thing. You never know with Corlys. They're like, yeah, whatever.
I feel like they got along.
Yeah. I if nothing else, they're civil and they can be friendly. So,
I think if it had been Otto there, Corlys would have been like, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah. So Corlys informs Viserys that Rhea has died. Her neck and skull were crushed in a fall from the horse, naturally.
And she's renowned for being such a good horseback rider.
Yeah, you just fall off and crush your skull? Is that a thing? Like, can you crush your skull from falling off a horse?
I would imagine. Yeah. I mean, if you landed on rocks or the horse fell on you, but
okay, fair enough.
It wouldn't be like just a normal fall. Probably not.
Right, it'd have to be a pretty violent fall. But, all right. So, they reiterate, I think we already knew this, I think Daemon or somebody else had talked about, she had no kids. She never got to inherit Runestone. Viserys just wants cut to the chase, proposes the marriage to Corlys, which... I don't know. Part of me thought that they already had discussed this. I wasn't aware that this whole venture was just to do the proposal, but whatever. I'm an idiot, apparently. Corlys is like, okay, we need to go over some details. He wants to know how the succession is going to be handled. Viserys is like, regardless of gender, Laenor and Rhaenyra's firstborn will inherit the Iron Throne from Rhaenyra. And then he asks if the children will be born Valerians, keeping up with the Westerosian traditions. And Viserys, the Targaryen dynasty isn't ending because Rhaenyra is a woman. The kids will keep the name Valerian, but whoever takes the throne will then keep the name Targaryen to keep the name in charge. And Corlys is like... all right, this seems like an equitable compromise.
Viserys seems like he's going to lose it for a second. He's like, dragons have been on the throne for 100 years before me, and they'll be on the throne for 100 years after me. And then he pops out, and then he looks like he's getting ready to just be pissed off. He's sick. He's been put on hold. He's getting asked questions that he doesn't want. And then he pops out with one of the best pieces of diplomacy I've actually seen in the whole series. I was like, damn, dude, what would you have been like if you were in your full game?
Yeah, he's just like, no, everybody else can be Valerian, just, whoever has the throne is going to be Targaryen, and...
The children will be born into the Valerian name as Westerosi tradition dictates, but whoever steps to the throne will do so as a Targaryen. All right, yeah, sounds good. Works for us.
All things considered, I think that was the best Corlys could have... That was the best he could have really expected, right? He couldn't have possibly expected a Valerian to actually rule under the name.
And then he should be like, hey, yo, I want my Master of Coin back, too.
I mean, as long as he says, hey, yo, then I'm all in, okay? Scott Hall says hello.
You can't see me.
There we go. Viserys, the thing that's, we know the inevitable Viserys is going to die, but my goodness, I don't want to say he's single-handedly carrying the show, because he's not. But every scene that he's in, he's almost always the best actor on screen, I feel.
Yeah, if nothing else, the writers got that you can't have, the show need to rely on this guy so much, to be the one to basically set up the situation that's going to, result in the Civil War and have him be an asshole. So they've done a really good job of just humanizing him. And you can tell that they really understood the character. This is just a dude who wants to do what's best for his family.
Yeah. He wasn't an outlandish character. He's a character that makes sense in what he does, and I think that's of the most importance. it's really nice just to have a character that makes sense. So, after that, let's see, Rhaenyra and Laenor have their chat, and this is just... Basically, she knows that, he may not like roast duck. He may like goose. But she, it depends. They both have different appetites. And, as long as they perform their duties and provide heirs, then they can go out to eat with whomever they want to and indulge in the flavors. Right?
Was that before or after the talk between Corlys and Rhaenys?
This was right after the equitable compromise.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean I like the scene, I like both of them. I mean, that was kind of what the situation that like Marjorie and Loras found themselves in. And unlike like
it was almost kind of
Loras
comical.
rebelling against it, here we get, and the fact that they acknowledge that they're cousins too. She's still getting the incest card to go for.
Yeah, I don't know. I found how they did this. I don't want to say comical, but charming, and how they handled it. It was very matter of fact, and almost. I don't know if you had to marry your cousin. It's, I don't know, I feel like they just handled it well. It was a really well done scene.
Rhaenyra's got a line in there too, and I think she was being honest. She's like, if I had to marry, I'm glad it's you, so probably because, she realizes that it's not going to be something where the dude's going to want to be like on top of her, 24/7, and she's going to
4 a.m., yeah.
She's the queen. She gets to be the one to call a minute for her.
Yeah, this really was almost, if not Daemon, and Daemon arguably would be worse. This is really a great scenario because, she's the queen. She can just go do whatever, and she has a guy that's not going to ask for a booty call. Every so often they'll be like, well, we do need to make a baby, and they'll do their thing, and voila. Like, I don't know. The writing was really good here for me. Now, what I found interesting was the very beginning of the next scene, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Corlys had the crab feeder's, mask, right?
Yes.
Okay. I had to rewind that just to make sure. I was like, all right, that's kind of neat that he kept that as a trophy. Don't know why he kept it instead of Daemon, but Daemon doesn't seem like a trophy collector, I suppose.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it the end of episode 2 when he's courting Daemon to go to war with him? Doesn't he talk about how his hall is full of the trophies that they had taken from?
Yeah, you're right.
By their own hands.
I forgot all about that scene. Well, I didn't forget about the scene. I forgot about, that kind of part, though. You're right. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Anyways, Viserys, he's gone to bed. Corlys, he asks, let's see. Wow. He asked Rhaenys if Laenor and Rhaenyra are getting along, and she's like, dude, he's gay.
Well, she's like, they grew up together. Of course they're getting along. But she's like,
right.
Yeah, dude, he's gay.
Right. Corlys is like,
he'll
grow it. Like, what? Okay, yeah, he's going to be so smitten by that poontang pie. He's going to be like, no, I don't want no more D. Come on. But, it
Dragon
was
Tang
funny.
trumps the D.
And Rhaenys...
I have a feeling that she's the most realistic person, as a realist.
Right,
she's like, this is not going to go good.
Our son's going to be in danger, dude.
They're going to be a target as soon as Viserys dies. And he's like, no, they won't. We'll have the largest army between us and the Targaryens. We'll have over half of all the dragons.
Yeah, and then, instead of, listening to her, he's just like, Oh, and you never got to be queen, so I'm going to change the subject. Let's talk about you never being queen. Like, let's not focus on the fact that our son is going to be a target here. No, like, Corlys is so smart and yet so oblivious at the same time. He's like that book smart dude that has no common sense.
Well, I mean, as Laenor's parents coming into this, basically the biggest negotiation part of his life, I'm really surprised that they allowed Joffrey to travel with them to King's Landing for the wedding.
Why?
Why? Well, it would have been like, hey, our son's going to be the king consort when Viserys dies. Don't fuck this up. Here's a whole bunch of money. Go fucking disappear somewhere until he sends for you later on, without the potential. For you ruining this shit for us before it fucking actually happens. Don't
want to get found out. Because I assume if they knew that Laenor was homosexual, I assume that, obviously it's frowned upon, but I don't know, that complicates a lot of things, I'm guessing.
I would imagine that, like, it wasn't better back in the day than it was in Game of Thrones time, so, right. Loras would have got, fucking stoned when he was accused of? Yeah. So, death? Yeah. Potentially.
So, alright, this is where I finally learned that his name was Joffrey Lonmouth. He feared for the day that Laenor would have to marry a girl because they got cooties, and then they tussle, and it really... I'm sorry, it did bring me back to Brokeback Mountain for half a second. I'm sorry. It did, because they did wrestle in Brokeback Mountain, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so that's kind of what this reminded me of. And then Joffrey suggests that, he'll be Laenor's sworn protector. Then there's some kissing, and Joffrey knows that Rhaenyra has a paramour of her own. Dun, dun, dun. Which, how did he know?
Just shrewd.
Just the looks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Then, speaking of which, Rhaenyra and Crispin on the boat. And, they talk about wanting to see each other. He asks, what if there was another path, instead of Laenor, one that led to freedom? Would you consider it? Would you want to maybe go port to port in Essos and, see the world together? Maybe, before Arya Stark goes and does it, be nameless, be a faceless man, just get married and, just fuck off.
You want to stand on that corner and sing The Power of Love with me?
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yes. And she's just like, no. I'm the heir to this whole thing. No, I don't. I got duties, and I'm gonna rule this place.
I'm gonna be the queen. It's good to be the queen, but don't worry. I made a deal with Laenor, so I can still fuck you on the side. It's okay. We can continue to do this in private.
But Rhaenyra, what about oranges and cinnamon? I love that whole thing, the oranges and cinnamon, and she says that the marriage doesn't have to be the end of their tryst or whatever, and he asks her if she wants him to be her whore, and he whines about breaking his oath, and I get why he whines given the consequences. So he wants to restore his oath via marriage, and she's all about the crown. He walks away. Now my question is, so if he married her, say like for some reason she's just like, yeah, let's get married, that would somehow restore his oath? Is that... I didn't think that would restore his oath, but he said it in a way that made me believe that it would. What's the deal?
Well, it would prove that he actually loved her and he wasn't just fucking to fuck.
Would there have been punishment for him?
He could never marry her in the Seven Kingdoms. That's not a thing.
But Essos is part of the Free Cities or someplace else, right?
They would have gone and been basically two commoners. But he would have, she would have been the woman, his love, the woman that he loved. He wouldn't have just sacrificed his honor for pleasure with the queen. It would have been, he sacrificed his honor to, for the woman that he was going to spend the rest of his life with, kind of thing.
So he took a shot here, and I don't blame him, because given the consequences of his actions in the prior, 2 episodes ago, like, I would have made every attempt possible to make that happen, because I'd want to get the hell out of there. So he did the right thing. She did the right thing. I can't fault anybody here on this one. Next we have Alicent, who I thought looked really nice in this scene. She looked very pretty. Viserys gets off the carriage, and he practically collapses as she's like looking on from, I don't know, balcony or from up high. And the queen has demanded Crispin's presence. And she needs to ask him some questions about what happened the night between Rhaenyra and Daemon. And she wonders if errors were made. He says that it happened, and he admits that it was him. He asks that rather than, gelding him and torturing him, that he's just sentenced to death because that seems like the better option. She thanks him, tells him that he may go. He's like, well, okay, am I off the hook, or what the fuck just happened? And I'm left wondering, she wasn't specifically asking about him. He basically let the cat out of the bag, right?
He was so upset from the earlier conversation with Rhaenyra that he didn't realize that she was she still believed that it was Daemon.
Right, so yeah. He screwed himself by revealing that, and I don't know. Well, I mean, we kind of see later on, like, what are we led to believe? Alicent just kind of feels hurt that she was lied to by Rhaenyra more than anything, right? Like,
well, I mean, think about it like this: like
her father.
Yeah, she chose Rhaenyra's side over her father, based upon the fact that Rhaenyra, swore to her that she was still a maiden. So she was basically responsible for Viserys, going along with Rhaenyra's decision to remove Otto as the Hand, because, she backed Rhaenyra. She told Viserys that, she believed Rhaenyra didn't lie. So then she gets her father telling her, hey, I didn't do this to put Aegon on a throne just to put Aegon on the throne. I did it to keep him alive. And so she's got that on her mind, and now she's finding out that her best friend, who, has literally told her that all she's good for is breeding, is now willing to lie to her, to put herself ahead of, their friendship and their trust. And at this point, she sees that Viserys is in the process of dying. I mean, she probably sees it better than anybody else, except for possibly the Maesters, considering, she's one of the only people who sees, him naked, sees what the extent of the degradation of his body is. So she's basically up to the point where she's got to be like, listen, I either cave in and let my family die, or I fucking buckle down and fight.
Larys is starting to look like a pretty good ally right now.
Yep.
Now, at this point, all right, I mean, I know there's more to say about Kristen later on, but, like, there's no way Kristen walks out of this unscathed. Like, he is boned in some way or another, because Alicent now is going to be pissed off at him.
He walks out of it unscathed.
You think so?
I know so.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
God damn it.
Not from the whole thing, but from this shit coming right up, yes.
Oh. that's crafty on his behalf because, quite frankly, as the two most powerful females in Westeros, kind of, like, it's not a good situation.
We'll get into it later on.
Okay. Well, after that, Milos is bringing some leeches. Orwyle, which is the other maester in the room, he wants to give Viserys some herbs, and Milos is like, nope.
He prefers the leeches.
Leeches always bring the relief, which I loved. I was like, all right, cool. They give him something to help him sleep, and Viserys asks where Alicent is. Vis takes the drink. He talks to Lionel. Basically, like, trying to find out, like, what's my legacy going to be like? Should I have done this? Would it have been better to have gone, should there be songs about my death? Should I have been a fighter or a conqueror? And Lionel's like, dude, it's better to have lived in peace and harmony and not have the damn songs.
Yeah, I mean, like, shit like that makes me feel like this is, like, a good guy rather than somebody just, like, out to get himself chosen his hand.
Lionel's gonna be like,
so he's probably gonna die.
Like, I'm like, is he gonna be like the next Samwell, like just a lovable dude that's on the right side that's just gonna get effed every step of the way? I don't know. Although Samwell didn't have it too bad, I guess, all things considering.
He did more effing than he did getting effed.
Yeah, I would concur with that. Once again, though, a really good scene, and this did more to build Lionel's character than any other scene prior to this, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, not only that, but like again, like you said, Paddy Considine killing it. Doing that scene while he's fucking falling asleep in pain on like basically probably what fucking laudanum.
Yeah, like he killed it. The show is leaning heavily on Paddy, and Paddy is standing up and doing
I would be surprised if Viserys dies of a broken back because he's carrying the show.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. How'd the king die? Broken back. Carried the show. After that, okay, here's my biggest complaint about this whole episode, and it's such a minor complaint, but when we first see the dragons, they could not have looked more fake. Unless it was my TV not looking right, those dragons looked really fake for like 3 seconds until they kind of clarified and showed them like flying in the air, but at first it looked really like, not 90s level bad, but like mid-2000s bad.
What I really wish they'd have done would be to have done more to distinguish the dragons from each other.
Oh, yeah, that would have been nice.
Well, not even that, but like so far we've seen what, like 4 or 5 dragons, and two of them have been gold and 2 of them have been red. I'm like, you're not, yeah. And they don't have like the distinctive different head like Drogon had from like Viserion or Balon. So I mean, what the fuck?
I mean, we only know 2 of the names, Caraxes, and I can't even remember what Rhaenyra's one's name is anymore. So, yeah, I honestly... So before the time jump, I thought they would have helped us get to know the names of the dragons a little bit more. I don't know, I just thought that'd be something that they would do to cater to the dragon fans, I guess. But they really haven't. Anyway... Sir Harold, he's doing the announcing of, Jason Lannister's here and Hobart Hightower and, Jason Lannister. I can't, he's the guilty pleasure for me. He does this thing where, he asks Queen, he asks where the Queen is. And he has the quip, like, and this is why men always wage war, because women are never ready on time. And Rhaenyra just, like, looking at him like, you son of a bitch, I will murder you.
It's like, you're a fucking douche.
Yeah. I liked how Rhaenyra kind of played off like very dryly, and Jason just thinks he's the funniest dude in the room. Good on him. Sir Gerald, he greets them next. He was Rhea's cousin, which we now have names for, which is nice. Viserys offers condolences. Here comes Corlys and Rhaenys. I can't say her name. Rhaenys.
Yes.
Wow. Maybe by the end of the season I'll get it. Maybe. And so them and Laenor and Laena. So much white hair in the room. It is delightful. Laenor and Rhaenyra, they kind of get together, hold hands. And there's Larys. Yeah. Oh, there's Joffrey. Okay. Along comes Daemon all of a sudden, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? This is great. Like, this, I cracked up. I did it. And everything just stops. You know, Daemon walks up to Viserys, and Viserys is like, are you fucking
He's like,
kidding me right now?
Bring up another fucking chair.
Yeah. So, Daemon gets a seat at the table, and Viserys starts a speech, like welcoming people, and mid-speech, all of a sudden Viserys stops, and there's Alicent at the door, making her grand entrance, and Viserys is just like, are really? Could anything else go fucking weird right now? And
then we get a little aside from somebody to somebody else, I don't remember who it was. Oh, how do you know when Hightower goes to war?
The beacon on... All right.
Yeah.
The beacon on the high tower, do you know what color
Yes.
it glows when Old Town calls its banners to war? And the guy replies, green. And Alicent is wearing green. Is there something more to that I should be getting?
Yeah, she's finally declared herself as in opposition to Rhaenyra.
Okay. Okay, that's what I got, but I wasn't sure if there was something more that I was supposed to read into that.
No, although if you also notice that when she sits down, she's seated on Daemon's side instead of on Rhaenyra's side for the first time.
Oh, I didn't even consider that. See, this is why I ask you the big, hard-hitting questions.
Meanwhile, Corlys is now on Rhaenyra's side when he was initially across from them in the first episode.
Oh, okay, so positioning means everything here.
Maybe
Okay.
I'm reading too much into it, but
Nah. This is why you do podcasts, so you can have theories and read into everything and nitpick.
Dude, Alicent just looks pissed off the entire fucking scene. I was like,
Oh my god, she is not
if
happy.
looks could kill, she would have fucking murdered. It would have been the Red Wedding Part 1.
And Viserys, he's funny, he's awkward, and he's just like, oh god, where was I? And then was Lionel kind of reminds him, and joining the houses together, and after tonight, small affair, 7 nights of feast. I like the after tonight, the small affair line was pretty funny. Royal wedding. Daemon is giving Laenor the stank face, which I want. The faces people are making in this is fantastic. Like, I think the acting with not talking was spot on here. This whole thing. We get some music. Laenor and Rhaenyra, they do their dance. The dancing was beyond silly to me, but I know it's customary, whatever. Crispin, he's looking on. She sees him. Viserys, he's giving Alicent the look now. Still dancing. I mean, dancing just goes on and on. The drums, I really enjoyed the drums. Joffrey, he's kind of looking on, a little mopey. Daemon, he's smirking, finding this whole thing just delightful. Viserys, he seems happy. Alicent, no, she gets up, she leaves. Corlys, he's looking on like, what's going on over there? And now we got an even bigger dance number. Alicent's Uncle Hobart is there, and he chats with Alicent about what was it? Oh, he tells her that Old Town stands with her.
Yes.
And I'm because this is all one giant scene, so I'm trying to break it down a little bit at a time. So if you want to get in here with anything, by all means, stop me.
It's this next point. Isn't that when we have Joffrey go up to Cole? Or Kristen?
Gerald approaches Daemon.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so Gerald goes up to Daemon, and he's like, hey, thanks for killing my cousin, you dick. And Daemon's like, hey, according to the laws of inheritance, I'm now your boss, huh? Aren't I? Because my wife didn't have any kids? It's like, don't worry. Gerald's like, well, I was going to appeal that to the lady in the area. I forgot who the fuck he said it was. And Daemon's like, oh yeah, I'm going to meet you there. I'll see you there.
Lady Jane, man. Just like G.I. Joe.
Yeah, there you go.
By the way, even old bronze cunts like you are made to answer for slanders. Such a good line.
In the Vale, men are made to answer for murders. Well, even old bronze cunts like you are made to answer for slanders.
And Viserys, he's looking on like, are you guys fucking kidding me right now?
He's like, Daemon, you can't show up for like fucking 5 minutes without causing some kind of shit, dude.
Now, I need to point out something, and maybe I saw something and subconsciously didn't even notice it, but at this point, after I see Viserys looking annoyed, I wrote, funny, like, Daemon should marry Laena. Make it happen.
And then what?
And then I'm like, watching, I'm like, wait, did something just happen subconsciously to trigger that thought? Or, like, I don't know. So, this is where we have Joffrey and Laenor, they're talking, and Daemon approaches Laena, and I'm super excited because now I'm writing in capitals and exclamation points. Anyways, Joffrey knows that the paramour is Kristen, which I think is what you were going to be alluding to. Some of the best lines here. The man is fully cunt-struck. Laena says that Daemon is every maiden's dream, and he says that's because she doesn't know him yet. Joffrey says, I believe Sir Kristen has bloodied that white cloak of his with your bride's maiden head. And Laena's like, yeah, I want to get to know you better, Daemon. And Joffrey says, it is good that they both know each other's secrets. Like, my goodness, that just delightful. Everything that just happened was so freaking delightful. Do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, so at this point, Viserys is just like, what the fuck, man? Like, all right, I just want to eat, okay? And so Joffrey, he goes over to Crispin, and he's like, hey, Rhaenyra and Laenor, they make a great match. And Joffrey's like, I'm the Knight of Kisses, but I don't even know why I'm that guy. And Crispin he's not entertained. He's just like, dude, what the fuck you want? And Joffrey's like, well, both of us are deeply invested in this marriage, and it's back and forth alluding to what, their secrets. And
it would be in our best interest to make sure that secrets never come out.
And more importantly than anything, I believe there was a midget drumming.
Yeah, there was.
So yeah. Obviously,
the imps weren't kept out of the capital back in the day.
That's right. Damn, I was so happy because you know me and my love for the little people. I liked this scene. I liked how annoyed Kristen was, and obviously, Daemon. I mean, not wanting to not cause chaos for more than every 3 minutes. He's like, I want to dance with Rhaenyra. So then they have their talk in Old Valyrian. She says that Laenor is a good man, fine knight. He's like, yeah, he's gonna bore you, and she's like, well, it's a political arrangement, and he says that his was recently dissolved, his marriage or political arrangement. She tells him to take her then. She asks if this has been his purpose. She tells him that the clock is ticking. And she tells him to cut through her father's Kingsguard, and take her to Dragonstone to make her his wife. Viserys, looking on, he's pretty pissed off.
He's getting more and more pissed off, but then they kind of lean into each other like they're about to kiss.
Yeah. So, and then they're screaming. So before we get to the screaming, does Rhaenyra really want Daemon as her husband instead of Laenor? Or is she just saying that? I don't know how to read into the conversation.
I think Rhaenyra's problem is that she kind of wants to indulge in her emotions at the same time that she wants to be princess slash queen.
Like she wants like a marriage that she's happy with, but she also wants to do the royal thing. Is that kind of what you're going with?
She wants to be the queen, but at the same time she wants like passion. You know, like she would be completely content to marry Laenor and keep boning Kristen on the side. But like, and you can see that she's always had like a fascination for her uncle and the warriors, you know, back all the way to the joust in episode 1. You know, and that's, again, you know, their family history, the history of incest. So, I mean, she would be content to live the life that she's got going forward, but she kind of wants, you know, that whole girls want the bad boy kind of thing. Yeah.
She would drop Laenor right now. I think she would drop him.
I think she's also alluding to the fact that he backed off when she initiated the shit. So she's kind of fucking daring him. You know, like, oh, we were gonna fuck back in the brothel a couple months ago, and you fucking chickened out and I don't know, fucking slept in a fucking well or something.
Well, yeah, because I mean, she tells him to cut through her father's Kingsguard. Like, all right, prove that you really want it, homie.
Yeah. If nothing else, Rhaenyra's got some balls. So.
She really does, and I enjoy it. I can't sit here and say there's a single scene between Rhaenyra and Daemon that I haven't enjoyed. I've enjoyed all of them because they play off. I think they have better chemistry than any other two characters so far.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then, of course, then they're screaming, and Crispin and Joffrey are fighting.
Well, first we don't get a good clear view of what's going on right away. It's, you know, a bunch of chaos first, and we see Rhaenyra and Laenor both get shoved around. You know, I think she gets knocked into a table and he gets knocked over.
Yeah, and Breakbones is sent by his daddy to go get
save Rhaenyra.
Yeah, and break some bones on the side, maybe.
He just knocks the dude out, and then he walks, you know, pushes people apart, and then grabs her and throws her up on his shoulder, and just walks out. It's like
he was awesome.
It's like that dude's baller.
Viserys, he starts bleeding. I don't know. I'm guessing from the mouth or nose.
I think it was his nose. I think he just started like a bloody nose.
Like okay. Joffrey is just getting his ass handed to him in a way that he doesn't like getting his ass handed to him.
Well, I don't think he has a choice anymore ever again because...
No.
Yeah.
He didn't have much of a face.
No, and when they did a good job with the special effects like they did with Oberon in the mountain fight, like he kind of pushes his head to the side, and you just see like the whole thing the skull doesn't really have a shape anymore. It just kind of flops.
It was really an awesome sight to see, and Laenor is just, well, you know, he just lost his lover. So there's some wailing going on. And then we cut right to, so did they just cut the whole week, or did they do a time jump a week,
they just skipped right.
Fuck it.
Fuck it, we got to do this now.
Okay.
I mean, because that's why in the background of the actual wedding scene, you still see Joffrey's blood's on the floor.
Okay, yes. Well, I was like, they wouldn't have kept his blood on the floor. It didn't seem like, but then, I don't know. Okay, so I'm glad to get that underway. So we're having two things happening at the same time. We have the wedding going on, and we have Crispin outside by the weird tree. Well, is it a weird tree there?
Yeah.
It is, right?
Yeah, it's a weird tree.
And he lays his sword down, and then he takes out his dagger. He's about ready to do... What the fuck is it that samurais do?
Seppuku.
Yeah, he's about ready to do that shit. That was in Elden Ring, too, I believe.
Yeah, that's one of the combat arts of war.
Yeah. So, pronounced man and wife, and he's about ready to stab himself in the belly, and then along comes Alicent to interrupt. And then Viserys collapses, and then a rat enjoys the blood. And that's kind of how we wrap it up. In the preview, we see that there is, finally, the much-anticipated time jump. And
I'd say
holy
it
shit,
looks
this was a great episode.
Probably about 10 to 12 years is what it looks like, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, because Rhaenyra looks like she's in her late 20s, early 30s, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a new actress for Rhaenyra, a new actress for Alicent, but I'm going off of just Aegon's age.
Oh, yeah. Plus, I mean, Viserys just looks... How is Viserys still alive? Like, they've been playing this off, so, like, if they're doing a time jump of, say, 12 to 15 years, I don't know, just ballparking here.
I would imagine,
are you surprised he lasted that whole time?
I would be. I mean, I would imagine that he's just a shell of himself at that point. I mean, we'll find out next week, but...
Or maybe in the preview, maybe they subtly do the time jump, and maybe he dies before they do the full-on time skip? I don't know, I
don't think so. I mean, it looked like there was too much shit, because it looks Daemon's married to Laena, so, I mean...
I'm so happy. So freaking happy that happened.
Good guess. So yeah, this was a fucking awesome episode. This might be my favorite, I think.
This is my favorite, no doubt, because it's a wedding, and hey, somebody did die, even though it was not. I did not expect Joffrey to be the one to get got. Did you?
I didn't even. I didn't think that the wedding was going to be happening this episode, so I didn't watch the preview.
True.
So
okay.
So
yeah.
I didn't assume, weddings in Game of Thrones aren't fucking happy events, but I didn't think that anything was going to happen yet. So
I just thought they played off the whole thing, so I'm like, oh, okay. In the future, we're gonna have Rhaenyra with Kristen on the side, and Joffrey's gonna be on the side for Laena. Or I thought that storyline had legs, to go for a while until there was a lot of jealousy and resentment and all that stuff. I kind of thought that's where it was going, but...
Well, it put into clarity some of the things that I had known, but I didn't have the details for.
Okay, such as? Can you enlighten me here?
Well, for example, most of the... once the actual Civil War happens, and it's Aegon versus Rhaenyra. Aegon, I believe, is in the position of being in King's Landing, so he's, has most of the government working for him. And
because Rhaenyra's going to end up staying in...
Probably in Dragonstone, would be my guess, since that's typically where the heir.
Okay.
So Kristen Cole ends up running most of the government because he's too busy, being selfish Targaryen guy. So I was like, how the fuck does Kristen get to that point from,
So Alicent's going to give him a position now?
I believe he's going to be her ally, and I think he ends up becoming the head of the Kingsguard, for Aegon.
Oh, okay. That is intriguing. Yeah. I didn't think I wouldn't have seen that coming, but okay. I mean, because he basically owes his life to Alicent keeping secrets.
Exactly. So she's got strings on him.
Got him by the balls. Yeah. Interesting. So we got Daemon and Lena. We got Laenor and Rhaenyra, and both of them are going to be... So how do you foresee their marriage? Are they going to get closer together because both the people that they loved are kind of gone, or is it they still going to have like this weird divide because he's gay and not into it?
I don't know. I mean, he was definitely not seeming happy at the actual wedding itself.
No, he didn't. But he doesn't. Well, she gets pregnant at the very least, right?
Yes, because after all is said and done, her son is finally the one who inherits everything when shit's over.
Do we know his name?
I believe it's Aegon as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, why not just have a fucking 17th goddamn Aegon in the show? Because, as it is, my notes are really tough to get through with Rhaenyra. I can't do it. Yep. And Laenor. Yeah. And if you look at IMDb, one thing that keeps intriguing me, and I keep bringing this up, is that I keep seeing, I swear that Viserys was listed fairly high in some of these episodes, and I'm just wondering if she kind of gets written out, or if she's going to have a bigger role. I keep hoping that she has a bigger role down the line.
Well, it says that she's been in 8 episodes, right?
I believe so.
Looking at it right now, it says she's been in 8 episodes. I've only seen her in 3 out of the 5 we have so far. So
that's a good sign.
That's potential, yes.
I mean, because that means, she's going to be the information source. A Varys type role, perhaps, as far as information goes. And the question is, who would she be providing the information for, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, the other thing, and they could be doing this to confuse it, but Otto's listed for 10 episodes out of 11, so, or 10 out of 10, so.
Yeah, because I was going to say there's not 11, but they seem to say 11. Otto. Well, Otto just seems like a guy that's going to be kind of micromanaging, because Alicent's obviously going to come back and be like, yeah, Dad, you were right. I was wrong. Help guide me. Help me get Aegon on the path that he needs to be, right? That would seem to be his role.
That would be my guess, but, who knows?
And then, I need to know what's Westerling going to do, because I just want to see more Westerling.
Who fucking knows? You got people in here who are like think about Lyman Beesbury. What the fuck has he done other than just sit around on the council and look like a fucking, I don't know, ferret?
I always look at the lady's picture that Eve Best, the lady that plays Rhaenys, and I'm just like, she looks so different in her picture than she does on the show. I don't know. It's an interesting picture. That's the best I'll offer. And then I need to know what the fuck Lannister. Jason Lannister needs to be in every episode moving forward because he amuses me.
I want to see more for the 2 strong sons. I'm not going to lie.
God.
They've got me intrigued.
Larys has to be a main player by season 2, right?
I think so,
He
yeah.
has to be.
Unless he dies.
So here's a question. Providing that he lives and Viserys dies, do you think there's a chance that Larys and Alicent become a thing?
I doubt it.
Damn it. It was bringing me down.
No, I'm sorry.
And, alright. I didn't quite say this, and I meant to say this in the last podcast. So I just need to go back one episode for just a second. Daemon and Corlys spent 3 years fighting a war, and after all was said and done, what really came of that?
I believe we're going to find out next episode.
Oh,
because one of the things that they're fucking bringing up as a bone of contention is, your Uncle Daemon spent 3 years were waging a war in the Stepstones, and then he just abandons them. And Rhaenyra's like, we abandoned them.
Okay. Yeah, I probably should have paid attention. Here's what happens when I look at the next episode. I pay attention to like the first 2 sentences, and I write down one statement. So I wrote, next week, we have a time jump. That's my note for the whole preview. Seriously, like, I think two weeks ago, I think I just wrote, some accusations are being made. So, yeah, I get a lot from the previews.
So, that's pretty much it for Game of Thrones episode 5, or excuse me, House of the Dragon episode 5. I got a quick question for you, Kent. Going back to our nom de plume of mostly dealing with horror on this podcast, but did you see the Hellraiser trailer?
I haven't. Yeah, I saw that it was available, and I've been reading about the I don't know, is it a lady or is it them? Because I thought I read that they were non-binary, something of that nature. So I don't know. I mean, anymore. I have no clue. I saw the trailer, but I haven't been keeping up like on all the news as it's been happening. I was reading on iHorror. All I know is that they're introducing a new Cenobite, and it's going to be on Hulu, right?
Yes. Well, they brought Chatterer back.
Well, I mean, I feel that you need to bring Chatterer back. I also saw, and I don't know if this is horror-related, horror adjacent, I saw some trailer for something that Steve Carell was on. Oh, yeah.
The one where he plays the therapist?
Yeah, he's like getting held hostage or something of that nature.
I guess
the patient.
Domhnall Gleeson is a serial killer who goes to Steve Carell for therapy and then decides that he needs to reveal himself, but because of that, he kidnaps Steve Carell and locks him up in his house to force him to provide him with therapy.
I think this is going to be an utterly fascinating role for Steve Carell, who
I haven't seen it yet. So I like him. He's way beyond just being what's his face from The Office.
Michael Scott.
Yes, thank you.
But in all fairness, he shouldn't have left The Office because he didn't do anything right off the bat where he could have stayed for 2 more seasons and made that final 2 seasons much better, but he is a good actor.
Oh, yeah.
I feel very, I just wish he would have stayed. But, I'm seeing David Alan Grier is also in this miniseries, and I really like him.
I haven't seen him in a lot lately.
Oh, God. All I can count on is In Living Color and Tales from the Hood. I'm sure he's been in other stuff. I just can't think of it.
Was he in the original Jumanji?
I never saw the original Jumanji.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to bring us down just a little bit every time we do a podcast.
Oh my God. I'm just kidding.
Hell, I don't know. He's apparently going to be in the remake of The Color Purple, though. And he's in a Black Lady sketch show. All right. Interesting. You know what else I find interesting? And this is not horror-related in the least bit, but the new Quantum Leap show, mm-hmm. I love that they cast Randall Park in the lead.
Have you watched it yet? Has it come out yet?
Yeah. I think it's out, but I only knew him from Young Rock, and I found him really funny, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, he's going to be the lead in Quantum Leap. It was just such a weird thing, but it works, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I really remember seeing him in has been the Ant-Man movies. So, mm-hmm. And then WandaVision. But I've enjoyed him.
Yeah. Is there any big horror movies that you know of that are coming out this October?
There's a lot of little stuff that I've seen ads for, but I'm not sure when.
Like on streaming, right?
Yeah, I saw one for something called like The Grim Cuddy coming out on Hulu.
Yep, I saw.
Smile.
I think I read about that recently. I think I just binged through iHorror and just looked up all their recent stuff. So I think both were mentioned at some point.
It looks like, I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but it looks like they put up a trailer for Mike Flanagan's new series. I think it's kind of based on the like the Goosebumps or the Christopher Pine novels.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I saw a trailer for Mr. Harrigan's Phone, which is a Stephen King adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that one?
I have not. I only read about it a little bit. Just a very little bit. I don't know anything about the story. I'm assuming you've probably read the story.
I don't. It sounded familiar, but it didn't tickle any memories when I saw it.
Oh.
But I mean, I got to say, having a cell phone in it would kind of date when it would have come out. And I think the last Stephen King anthology that I bought was Just After Sunset, which is maybe like 10 years ago. So if it was something newer, I wouldn't have read it.
See, I'm looking at I'm just looking up Stephen King, and it sucks because they really need to put short stories someplace else. They just need to, because I'm looking and I'm like, oh, they're doing a Salem's Lot at some point and a Pet Cemetery thing and all this stuff, but okay, why even have apt pupil if it's abandoned? Don't list it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just throw Tommy Knockers announced. That'll be terrible.
Somebody who was involved in that made me hope it would be better than the original. I don't remember who it was, so.
I don't see anybody mentioned in it, but hey, if it can't be any worse. Like that was
true.
Really a dreadful thing. It really was dreadful.
It's not a good book.
No, it really is. It bored the piss out of me trying to read it, and I like Stephen King stuff, but yeah. I mean, aside from the new Scream movie's not due out this October. The only big thing is the Halloween movie, as far as I know. As far as like in theaters, I don't know if any other in theater Halloween or horror movies coming out. Which kind of makes me sad. Like,
yeah, well, we got Interview with the Vampire. Is that a series?
That's a TV series, yeah. I think. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. You know, I will. I really like the movie. So I don't know how it holds up compared to the book.
It really holds up, I think.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. So yeah. Anyways, we did it again, dude. we can't talk about one of these episodes. Just talk about one of these episodes. Well, we'll be back again next week,
yes,
probably, and we might have more details on if we're going to be doing something in October, which I think is probably what we were partially brainstorming about just now.
Yes, we will be doing something. We just don't know fully what. Because, I mean, a lot of it has to do with what you have time to do as well. Obviously, we can't do anything along the lines of the Stephen King thing, but we can do something smaller scale. So, that's what, I gotta just quickly throw this out there. I've only watched the first 4 episodes of season 4 of Stranger Things, and I only made it to the 4th episode just to watch. Have you watched it?
Yeah, I'm all caught
okay,
up.
so you know what I watched for, Robert Englund.
Yep.
And in that little bit of time, he still showed just how damn good he is as an actor.
Oh, yeah.
Really big fan of what I saw of his. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And one other small tidbit. Last night, I was very tired, and I'm like, I kind of want to play a video game, and I almost played The Evil Within. Almost. And that's a true story.
You almost got me excited.
Almost, yeah.
Almost.
But yes, next week we will have something planned for October and reveal it. We don't know what it is, but we got a week to figure it out. Maybe more.
All right, man. People on the internet, it was good to talk to you for as long as we did, Kent. It was a pleasure as always, and this was just a really good episode, so it was a pleasure to talk about that as well.
Yeah, and I can't end this on anything clever like, White Walkers and tightrope walkers. See ya.
Bye.